So Piclo is an independent marketplace for flexibility services. So we help connect the network operators or system operators as they're transitioning to with the assets and the companies who own the assets on their networks to help them provide flexibility services, resolve network constraint issues, and to accelerate the transition to net zero. Flexibility is important because as we get more renewables, electric vehicles and heat pumps onto our networks, these can cause network constraint issues. And so the DNOs and the system operators need to take more of an active role in balancing their grids. And flexibility services are the solution to help them with that. So they can be important for turning down generation when there's too much renewables in the system, or balancing the additional demand from technologies like EVs as we transition. Yes, so in the UK we started off as a government-backed innovation project with all of the DSOs in the UK. So we since then commercialised with clients like UK Power Networks, Scottish Power Energy Networks and Electricity North West. We predominantly focus on the DSO side. There's now been new EU regulations saying that across Europe, all of the DNOs need to start thinking about setting up their own local DSO flexibility markets. And so excitingly, we started expanding across Europe as well. So DSO flexibility markets, they are a new initiative that are needed on the local distribution networks. And that's come about purely because as we decarbonize, more technologies are connecting to these distribution grids. So you're having more solar homes, you're having electric vehicles, and you're having heat pumps coming onto the system. And these are causing impacts on the grids in terms of additional load or variable generation from the renewables. The reason that the UK has been a leader in these DSO flexibility markets is because we've had a commitment from government about a smart and flexible energy system, and that's been translated into price controls that DNOs are then incentivized to use flexibility when it's the most cost-effective solution. So instead of simply reinforcing the grid or installing new pipes and wires, they look for these flexibility services as an alternative. So that's worked really well in the UK. We now have a high-level mandate from the EU's Clean Energy Package, which is being transposed and implemented in markets across Europe. But that also needs to then come with a momentum from the governments in those member states and translate back down into those price controls we're seeing at a network level as well, so that there's the commitment, the incentives, and the right kind of frameworks in place for these DSO flexibility markets to truly take off. I would say the biggest challenges for the energy system, it's got to be pace and scalability. We need to move so quickly. The 2020s or from now until 2030 is such a critical decade. We've got so many more renewables to connect to the grid, and we're going to have to manage those new connections as best we can, and flexibility is essential to that. 2040 is going to be one of decentralization purely. And a much more, the energy sector is behind, sadly, in terms of digitalization, but those are going to pick up over the 2030s. And as soon as we hit 2040, I hope to see a sector that is much more decentralized and digitalized and smart and flexible.